Meet Dr. Karen Bondar. She's the vice chair of the Chilliwack School District. She's also a professor at the University of the Fraser Valley who calls herself a biologist with a twist. Perhaps this is why.
Come and join me, Dr. Karen Bondar, as I delve deep into my favorite topic, animal sex. Ever heard of the phrase, "F*** like rabbits"? Spiked penises, golden showers, and a 15-meter-long member. I'd rather be stuck here in these pants with you than forced to die in a sea of ejaculate. I'd like to talk to you about group sex. No need to be embarrassed. Now, while humans generally accept genetic donations from only one donor at a time, you can see that in the animal kingdom, sometimes it makes sense to be a little whore.
Now, that's just some of the publicly available content of Dr. Bondar that, of course, is at the heart of this defamation case. And quite frankly, it was at the heart of the controversy that surrounded her even running as a trustee in the first place. Although it would seem, given the testimony that I heard in Supreme Court this week, that Dr. Bondar doesn't think this is controversial at all, unlike Barry Neufeld. Neufeld is a former 7 times elected trustee for Chilliwack, and he's in the hot seat right now for referring to Bondar as a striptease artist. He was on a Power Hour Zoom meeting, which was put on by the organization called Action for Canada last September. And in that, when he was talking about a by-election that Bondar ran in, well, he said this.
Richard Prosy ran against that striptease artist in the by-election 4 years ago. We thought he was going to win, but something funny happened with the mail-in ballots.
Now, I want to mention that Neufeld has been a long-lasting critic, one of the first to speak out about Western Canada's sexual orientation gender identity program, SOGI 123. It's a program that's fluid within schools, like many across the country, that are paving the way for things like sexually explicit images and books to be in schools' libraries under the guise of teaching inclusivity, or parents say it's causing a wedge between the values they teach their kids and what kids are learning behind their back in schools, like being confused about their identity, their biology, under the form of gender confusion. Now, in contrast, Dr. Bondar is somewhat of what I would call a cheerleader for SOGI 123, to the point that she actually had the audacity to say that people participating in the parent-led protests we've been covering, speaking out against such programs, well, it's actually them who are sexualizing the children. Take a listen.
The first issue is the sexualization. I would actually argue that these protesters are hell-bent on sexualizing children because it is all they ever talk about. They're obsessed with genitals and sex and things they don't understand. Okay, so I don't remotely agree that this is a sexualizing curriculum or set of learning resources.
Swinging naked on a wrecking ball to a Miley Cyrus parody and sucking off a sledgehammer and licking a microscope. How am I saying those words when it comes to a school trustee?
Good morning. I have just got a minute or two before I'm heading into my class today, and I wanted to just come on and mention briefly a couple of items that came up for me, that fell out for me after our school board meeting last evening. We talked about, or at least a comment was brought up surrounding the difference between secularism and non-secularism, specifically as it relates to curricula in school. So yeah, let's definitely talk about this. Such a good thing to clarify. Belief systems, like religions, like some people have belief systems based in nature. Some people have belief systems based in the stars, in astrology, astronomy, outer space. Some people have, we in Canada enjoy the freedom to believe things we want to, and here's the caveat there, though. Because these are belief systems, these are non-secular things. Beliefs are different from identities. Now, identity, which includes one's sexuality and gender, Those are things that each individual person in this world exists within, okay? There's no belief there. You wake up every day and your body and brain tells you who you are. And it also tells you if you're trying to, be something that you're not, because it doesn't feel quite right. And the only person who can ever decide that is the person who's carrying that particular brain. Okay, so it really has nothing to do with what you believe. Your non-secular beliefs or non-secular system in which you were raised, maybe it was a church, maybe it was a nature and outdoors framework. Whatever those belief systems may be, we say in the educational systems, we're going to take the belief systems out, and we're only going to focus on those identity components. Because when a student has a strong sense of self, a student can then decide what belief system they'd like to adopt, if they want to adopt one at all. So really, really important point that, we wake up every day of our lives in the existence we have. We wake up with our body and brain telling us biological truths about ourselves. And that's different from choosing to believe in something. We don't choose our gender identity. We do not choose our sexuality. And that is why schools are secular spaces for that particular subject matter. When we have students with strong senses of self that understand who they are and that they're okay, now we're talking. Now we have students who can select a belief system that works for them. It cannot work the other way around. Beliefs can't come before identity, because if they don't match up, identity gets marginalized. And that's what we've been experiencing, that's what marginalized genders and sexualities have been facing. Thank you for the opportunity to clarify this concept. I think it's an important one and a really good one for us to spend some time on. Thanks.